And then if you bring photocopies of those documents, we can return the original documents to you. We don't want to keep your original documents, but we will if that's all you submit. Okay? If you're being petitioned for by an American citizen that's your spouse, an American citizen spouse, and you've been married for less than 2 years, if your application is granted, you're admitted as what we call a conditional resident, and you're admitted for a period of 2 years. At the end of that 2 years, a separate application is filed to remove the conditions, and you get your permanent 10-year green card. That's not the case with such things as parents. Parents are not admitted conditionally. Sometimes stepchildren are, but your biological children would not be. They would be admitted permanently. So it's only if the beneficiary is being petitioned for by a U.S. citizen and there's a marriage that's less than 2 years old. All right. At your interview, we're also going to ask you questions about it, whether or not you've been arrested, and that's arrested in the United States or any other country. If you have been, we're going to want to see certified copies of those documents. We're also going to ask if you've ever had problems with immigration, whether it's the Border Patrol or you've been deported or you've ever been put in deportation proceedings, all of those things that we would talk about in the interview. All right, if your case is approved and you have a valid passport, we give you a temporary stamp in your passport that shows that you've been admitted as a permanent resident. If you don't have a valid passport, we'll make a little temporary card and give you a stamp that shows that you've been admitted as a permanent resident. And then you get your green card in about 14 days. That's it, Sarah. We're going to switch to the other one. So that's the adjustment of status process. Again, I want to talk about the unauthorized practice of immigration law real quick, and then we'll answer more questions. Okay. This is an extremely important topic right now within USCIS because we're finding that people in the immigrant communities of the United States are being taken for their money. They're being scammed by unscrupulous people that do not have the right or the authority to practice immigration law. So we've developed this outreach to talk about the unauthorized practice of immigration law and how important it is that when you go to someone to get immigration help, that you go to the right person. And believe me, the wrong hurt can help you. Unauthorized practice of immigration law, it is a serious problem and it affects everyone. It affects not only immigrants and people that are in the United States without status, but it also affects U.S. citizens. The perpetrators, they have scams where they will offer you all kinds of things for your money. They take your money and they run. And it's through this initiative that we're trying to protect not only the immigrant communities, but U.S. citizens that are trying to obtain immigration benefits for their family members. Okay? The term unauthorized practice of immigration law generally refers to someone who gives legal advice or pretends to be someone that they're not. They pretend to be an attorney, or they pretend to have knowledge of immigration law, but they don't. And legal advice can include how to answer questions on your immigration applications versus someone who's just filling it out for you. Someone who is practicing unauthorized practice of law will actually tell you how to answer the questions instead of just writing down the answers. They give you advice and they tell you this is the answer that you should put. And they also tell you what immigration options you have. They tell you, yes, you can get a green card this way, or you can get a work permit this way if you give me some money. Those types of things are what are considered the unauthorized practice of immigration law. All right? By law, the only people that can give legal advice or represent applicants before USCIS are attorneys and non-attorney representatives who are accredited by the BIA. And what that means is it can be an organization that, like Ms. Salama, her organization is accredited to represent people before USCIS and the Board of Immigration Appeals. It is extremely important that you go to one of these organizations, or you go to an attorney that's authorized to practice law in the state of Florida. The different ways that people can be scammed, there are websites that are very, very misleading. They resemble government websites. You have to be very careful. If you go to a website that is selling a form, a USCIS form, that's probably not a very good website to be at, because our website, and I will give you the web address, our website, the forms are free. So if you go onto a website that asks you to pay for forms, probably not the right website to be on. People will apply for immigration benefits for someone who is totally ineligible for an immigration benefit. But they'll do it anyway. They'll take your money. Falsifying information on a application or a petition. They will try and do that to make it appear that you're eligible for something that you're not. They'll take your money for filing fees without submitting any application at all. They'll just take your money and say, I'm going to take care of it for you. I'll file your application for asylum. Don't worry. And you never hear from them again. And making claims that someone can get you an immigration benefit because they know somebody in the government, or they know someone in USCIS, so they tell you, well, I know Kristen Smith, don't worry about it. You know, we're good friends. I'll get you a green card, or I'll get you a work permit. If anyone ever tells you something like that, if Amira ever says, well, Kristen and I are good friends, well, yeah, that's true, we are. But if she tells you that you're going to get an immigration benefit because of that, that's definitely not true. Right? Definitely not true. Yeah. Again, unauthorized practice of immigration law can affect U.S. citizens, permanent residents, refugees, asylees, anyone that's applying for an immigration benefit. And because most people have a very limited, if any, knowledge of the immigration policies and procedures and laws, it's very easy to believe someone that tells you what you want to hear. You want to hear I'm going to get a green card. You want to hear I'm going to get a work permit. So you believe people. And you have to be extremely careful about who you're listening to. And there are very well-intentioned people that get caught up in this as well. Just because your heart's in the right place doesn't mean you know what you're talking about. So you have to, again, be very, very careful. Okay. Always obtain copies of any documents that are, or petitions, applications that are submitted for you. If you file an application and someone helps you fill it out, get a copy of it. Okay. Don't trust that that copy is going to go where it needs to go. Get a copy of it. And that way you also know what it says. And make sure you understand what it says, because you're signing it and you have responsibility for the information. Verify always that the person that's helping you is qualified to do that. Again, either that they're an attorney or they're an accredited representative. And any time that someone, you think that someone is not lawfully practicing law, you have to report it. Or if someone has taken your money and you didn't get the immigration benefit that you were supposed to get, you have to report it. And there's several different ways that you can do that. You can report it to the Bar Association if it's an attorney. You can report it to the Attorney General. But don't just sit back and not do something, because that same person, if they get away with taking your money for nothing, they're going to do it to somebody else. Exactly. And USCIS is actively working these cases that we know about. We're working with the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. You've all heard of ICE? ICE is also actively working these cases because there are so many unscrupulous people that are preying on immigrants, and we just aren't going to put up with it. Even though someone may be in the United States illegally and have absolutely no immigration benefit available to them, we're not going to sit back and let them be taken for their money. It's just not the right thing to do, so we're not going to do it. Do not sign blank applications or other applications or petitions. If it's blank and someone promises that they're going to help you with it, don't sign it if it's blank. All right, because you never know what information they're going to put on it. Don't sign documents that you don't understand or that contain information that's not correct. If you don't understand it, ask for an explanation. Don't just sign. Don't let anyone keep your original documents. Those original documents belong to you. You keep them. You can leave photocopies with someone, but you keep your original documents. And do not pay someone without getting a receipt. All right? Even though I can see an unscrupulous person giving you a receipt, but it's just one more safeguard that you have is to get a receipt for your money. And do not pay more than a nominal fee if it's to someone other than an attorney. Attorneys can charge what they want to charge for applications and petitions, for immigration benefits. They can charge anything that they want. But if you're going to someone who's an accredited representative, again, someone who USCIS and the Board of Immigration Appeals have said this person is okay to practice immigration law, they're not going to charge you $10,000 for a naturalization application. That's not what's considered a nominal fee. They're not going to charge you $2,000 for a work card. That's not a nominal fee. That's a lot of money. And I can't even imagine attorneys charging that much. Yes, sir. If they're accredited? Yes, and that's going to be coming up. Go ahead, Sarah. Who to contact? You can contact the Federal Trade Commission. There's a phone number there. We are working very closely with the Federal Trade Commission. We have a computer system that we use together. It's a joint system where we put information about unlawful practitioners and all across the United States. It all goes into the same repository, and that's with the Federal Trade Commission. You can also contact your state attorney general's office or the Bar Association in your particular state. And go ahead, Sarah. USCIS.gov. If you go to this website, and again, our website is USCIS.gov, but if you go further to avoid scams on the website, it will link you to a list of accredited representatives. So if you're thinking about using an organization, you don't want to use an attorney, but you do want someone to represent you, you can go onto that list and see if that agency is accredited. And then you know that USCIS and the Board of Immigration Appeals have said this organization is okay. They know what they're doing, and they're not going to take your money for nothing.
That person also have a document from the Board of Immigration Appeal. Ask that person to show you his document, approval from the Board of Immigration Appeal. That this person is okay that can do immigration law. Always, 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 nobody work without that document. And you have the right to see it. If the person give it to you, give you a copy of that, he's okay. If not, then he's not.
So any other questions about the practice of immigration law and who's authorized and who's not and how to be careful?